Hey guys, this is Marcus and Leo from Big Time Super Friends,
And we're going to review Best Picture nominee, Arrival.
where he fell asleep. Alright guys, now I've personally seen this movie like 4 times. Leo's is his first time seeing it tonight. And I mean, I know this movie has been out for a while and it's on Blu-ray already, but you know, it's one of those movies that I just felt compelled to just talk about. It's one of my favorite movies, I would say, of all time, top 10 for me personally. But
That's a bold
Leo,
statement.
I mean, when it comes to alien movies, I don't think you can get much better than this. That's debatable, though.
Okay, I think that this movie challenges your concept of what an alien movie should be, or what we're used to, at least, right? We're used to violent endings to movies with aliens involved.
Constant explosions.
Yeah, or just, a gunfight, bombs being thrown at the aliens to defend ourselves from them. But it's a really refreshing take, because it's basically, these aliens arrive to give us a language so we can communicate with them in the future to help them out in the future.
Yeah, 3,000 years in the future to be exact.
So time is a concept that's kind of thrown around as like it's.
Speaking of time, by the way,
It's like a sub-layer to the whole movie.
if you guys haven't been able to tell by the title of this video, there is going to be some spoilers here. So, going back to what Leo was saying about time kind of related kind of thing, is that's kind of part of the twist in this movie, is Amy Adams' character is able to see the future. Of course, you don't really know that to begin with, and that's what that's one of the twist isn't really a twist per se, but it's one of those things that made me enjoy the movie even more, because the second time you view it, I viewed it differently.
It's a reveal for sure. I mean, the fact that, spoiler alert, the fact that these little flashbacks that are happening throughout the movie, at some point in the movie, you realize they're not flashbacks; they're visions of the future
That haven't happened. No,
and so it's almost like the whole movie flips, and then you start seeing it from a different perspective, and that it does something to the movie, the experience of the movie, because then you're seeing things like, oh, this is all the future, and then it even ends with a question about those visions, and if she would still go through with whatever it is she's seeing in the future.
Now, I'm going to take a step back, and I'm going to just be like, one of the things I enjoyed about this movie is I love the pacing, the slow camera movements, the steady cam shots.
I noticed that too, yes.
It's one of those things where it was like, if you're used to fast action, fast cutting, like Transformers or like an Independence Day or any of those type of movies, this is completely opposite of that. This takes its time. It holds the shot, I would say, perfectly. The duration that it needs to be perfectly.
The thing about what they're doing with that is they're slowly building up this tension, if you will, to where there's one-on-one contact with these creatures, with these aliens, and that's when it all shifts, because that's when you find out the gift is the fact that she can now, I don't know if it's just her in particular, but the fact that she can see the future.
That's unclear, but
Yeah.
I would imagine she couldn't be the only one to see the future.
Yeah, and
right?
I mean, she makes it obvious that the key to unlocking that is the language, because she says towards the very end she figures out the language, and that it actually has to do with time.
I particularly like the way this movie was cutting back and forth between what is to come and what is currently.
Right.
Like
it starts kind of blending or blurring. The lines start blurring at some point, and you don't know which is which, and what is the past and what is the future. I mean, that kind of kept me thinking. I mean, you asked the question during
at least
viewing.
for the first half of the movie,
Yeah,
it kept.
and then
thinking.
I was like, you know what? I don't want to think about this in any particular way. But as you are revealed that she is seeing the future, it just, the movie changes. It's changed for me. So
now
I like that.
For me, I talked about the tension a little bit. Now I was sitting right next to you. The first time, this movie does a really good job of building tension, right? I mean, the first time you saw the scene of them kind of walking down that long hallway, and it's just like, for the first time ever, you feel the pressure, the anxiety, the
tension. Yeah, because one of the cool things is the fact that once they go and enter the craft, the physics of
just goes out the window.
Yeah, everything changes, and then that's when they realize they're really somewhere else. I mean, they're not in Kansas anymore. And then they jump onto the building or the structure that they're inside of, and the gravity changes. The flow of gravity changes, or gravity's pull changes from down to the wall. I mean, in front of them. It's hard to describe. It's just everything changes. The rules change, and then they kind of start. I actually held my breath when they first encountered the aliens. I remember once that scene was over, I took a deep breath. Like, whoa, what just happened?
What's gonna happen?
How long was I holding my breath for?
Like, and it's kind of funny because I think the character Jeremy Renner had the same, I think, reaction that Leo had when he was watching that scene, and Jeremy Renner just turns up and looks up and he goes, "Holy shit," or "Holy fuck," or "Holy shit," or something. And that's kind of the thing I felt from you as you were watching. You were just kind of like, "Oh man."
Yeah, well, I mean, the size of these aliens, they're pretty massive, and you don't really get the full scope until the one-on-one scene happens, and that's when you see how massive these aliens really are. And it gives you the scale of what they are, because that ship, it's shaped differently. The way it behaves is different. The physics inside the ship are different. And when she reveals her actual physical self to the aliens, she removes the hazmat suit, and everyone's freaking out. And then the alien, they sort of make contact through the glass. She's able to see the form a little bit better because they're sort of shrouded in mist.
You know what, though? I keep trying to put myself... I'm pretty good at, like, trying to put myself in situations. When I watch movies, but I don't know if you're like this, but when I watch movies, I pretend like I am that character.
I do.
You know what I mean? Like, oh man, like, what would I would shit myself. I would literally shit and piss myself.
It's a pretty scary scenario to think about.
If I saw a damn 50-foot alien. I mean, I'm just saying. You're looking up and you're just like, holy... With the tentacle hand... I mean, you only see this.
Yeah,
this is pretty much it.
What do they call them? Tentapods?
Or something like that.
Hectopods?
Something like that. But I think what added to the tension building in this... the sound... The sound effects,
yeah.
The music, the lingering long... I mean, it was superb.
The ambiance was creepy because when you hear the way they communicate, the sound, the music, the ambiance, the music, the ambient music, it sort of blends in with their sounds. So there were moments when I didn't know if it was the actual background music or the actual aliens talking. And so that kind of made it even creepier because at times I thought they were hearing it when they were away from the ship. And so it added this like sort of element where I thought maybe the aliens were sort of somehow communicating when they were away from the ship and calling them back. Because they were going back every day, every 18 hours.
For months.
Yeah. For about a month. Yeah, they were going back every 18 hours to communicate because that's when they would do their show. They would show up.
I'm kind of curious. Before you realize, like, oh, Amy Adams is seeing the future and having these visions. First of all, to the character that Amy Adams was playing,
Louise,
she didn't know she was seeing the future. She didn't know what the hell she was seeing. She just thought that they were just visions. She didn't associate them with, like, that's what's going to happen.
And it gets weird for a second because she has this vision where she's talking to Jeremy Renner's character, Ian, and she's having a flashback, what I thought was a flashback of this little kid, because they established that they've both been with other people at some point and that they're currently single. So I thought, because during those little flashbacks you see, she talks about, that she was married and they're split, and the daughter is talking about going to visit the dad versus where she is with her mom. So I thought that I just kind of made the assumption that the movie had you in a place where she had been married. The reason for the divorce was because the daughter was sick. It caused extra tension in the relationship. And so the whole time I'm thinking, this is a past memory. How does it relate to the aliens? Why is she remembering?
Why does it keep going back and forth?
Why does it keep happening? And in relation to the aliens, somehow like the aliens and this memory sort of start merging together, and it becomes this one cohesive thing, which is the future that she's saying, because of the fact that she's learning to communicate through their language that they're teaching them.
Now, before you finally realized, like, oh man, okay, this is the future, like, what was going through your mind in trying to piece this together? As far as
I really couldn't figure it out. That's where
these things?
That's where I was like, I was stuck in that for the first half of the movie, in figuring out why she was having these dreams. And in that one dream, when she sees that the main Abbott, I would say the tall skinny one, and she's talking to Jeremy Renner, and she looks to the corner, and he appears, and then she wakes up. I didn't know what was. That's where it sort of started coming together, little by everything all the visions and everything should be having.
Now, for me, I knew something was wrong in that scene before the alien showed up in this vision, because there's this weird cut in that scene where they jump the 180-degree rule, and I knew something was off in that scene the minute I saw that. Most people won't catch that.
I didn't catch that.
But as soon as I did see it, it was because she was talking. Just keep an eye out for that scene. There's very subtle little hints here and there. What I did enjoy, though, is if you rewatch the movie, the first time you won't catch it, maybe. If you're really observant, you will. But the second time you watch it, they're giving you clues in these past visions of they're telling you this hasn't happened yet, because the painting or the drawing that the daughter drew, it was with the father, Jeremy Renner, and Amy Adams, and they had a bird cage
that's in every session.
The little clay statues that she's making, they're clearly
features,
they're clearly making like both people were orange clay figures, which stand for the orange hazmat suits. And I mean, there's lots of little clues like that throughout the movie that you just have to pick up on. It's hard the first time you see it, though.
I didn't
because you have no reference. You have no point of reference. Now, let's talk just characters in general. Is there any character that standed out to you for good or bad reasons?
I think there's something interesting about General Chiang, the China's leader,
General Chiang.
Yeah, General Chiang. Just his conversation with her at the very end of the movie, where he tells her that her communication, her phone call, the message she relayed to him in that phone call, he thanked her for it. And I'm curious as to what, because it was his wife's dying words. So how did she know that?
Well, because he was whispering it to her in her ear.
But the thing is that she did it first.
Well, see, when we're talking about time,
it's really
time
weird,
is non-linear. So she's literally she was only able to do that because she was seeing the future in real time.
She relayed it back because she saw the future. So okay.
So that's
a really clever thing, because it's almost like she's figuring out the answers
as she goes,
as she's going, because she's getting the answers from the future. Yeah. Which is, it's a weird way to think about it,
and it's kind of, and you'll get there's some more scenes that are just like that, where she's looking at the computer and then she's having visions of her future self reading her own book that she published, and she's like, all of a sudden she's gaining knowledge from the future her. It's very
copies.
It's
pretty cool.
I haven't seen a movie like this,
and then they have the release party of the book, the press release, and she has one where she's teaching a class. She has a lecture on the book and the language. It's a cool, I want to say, reveal.
It's a cool way to structure the movie. Yeah. Now, personally, for me, Amy Adams, with this performance alone, is like number one, like up here. She is my favorite female actress. Emily Blunt's like right there, creeping up. But Amy Adams, it's like when she cries. Here's what I got a little bit emotional the first time I watched the movie, when she was in the beginning of the movie when she's playing with her kid and she's like, "Oh, I got the tickle gun," and they have the montage. I like stuff like that.
It's pretty clever. Definitely her character has some standout moments. I think that they had a minor role, but it was like the soldiers that planted the bombs, and they open the case, and as they go up, the timer set off for like 20 minutes.
Did you think she was going to die?
I thought they were going to die. Well, I didn't know. I thought it was going to set off. I mean, keep in mind, at this point, I'm not knowing. I don't know that this is a peaceful movie. It's not going to have a violent ending. I thought it was going to set off a chain of events where, it's a full-scale war.
Like all of a sudden the aliens were like...
Right. Yeah, because it was a hostile move. And I didn't expect for them to sort of rescue Ian and Louise. Mm-hmm. I mean, they kind of ejected him out of the room real quick and they sealed the doors, so...
That was kind of intense.
It was.
When the alien was like, "Fuck, I'm gonna die, but fuck, this message needs to get
died.
out."
Yeah, one of them died. So,
now, any downfalls, any flaws? Now, personally, for me, I have flaws, but I could be just minor nitpicking. That's just me, though. I know you must have some.
I think the main one is that I felt that the movie was a little anticlimactic for me. I mean, it put me to sleep. For starters.
You fell asleep
the last 10 minutes. I couldn't make it, but it builds such tension that the release is so peaceful. It's so like a sigh of relief. It really felt like that because they show you when they're evacuating the site because everyone stopped talking and apparently China is gonna attack their spaceship that's in their airspace in Shanghai. So I thought something was going to happen until she actually says, "Hey, I figured out the language. This is the key to everything. It's time." And she's realizing already at that point that, yeah, everything is in the future that she's seeing, hence the phone call. And the thing is, they don't reveal that part until that very last second that's how she stops it. By calling the general in China and relaying the message she's hearing in the future that he's whispering in her ear, which is...
Imagine put yourself
weird.
in his shoes, right? Some unknown phone number calls you. And
your
then,
gold phone.
Yeah, your gold-plated iPhone.
Nokia.
It looked like a Nokia. And then someone you don't know, you never heard of, all of a sudden recites your dead wife's last words. Like, that's kind of a little trippy. While this whole scene was playing out, I'm like, what the fuck is she gonna say to this guy that's like, would make him stop? I had no clue that that's what she was gonna say, but then I thought, that's a good thing that they wrote in, because I wouldn't have thought of it, and...
They don't reveal what it is in the first place.
Yeah, they don't reveal her exact dying words or anything
Chinese
like that.
And they don't translate it, so...
Now... I thought for sure you were going to say that one of the things that you didn't like was the runtime. It's like over 2 hours long. It was a long movie.
It does come to a point where you feel like, okay, the movie is coming to an end. Something's changing. But I didn't really feel the time. It obviously it's a long movie, but you don't really feel it because the pace of the movie is so slow in the beginning that as the action starts picking up, you're like almost done with the movie, and it's kind of slow, but I think it picks up in a good way. The only thing I had a problem with was the resolution. I thought it was I expected a little more explosions.
I thought you were about to make me pop off. I'm like, that's a 4K resolution. I don't know what you're saying.
No, I was expecting something more climactic.
The final result
to pay off. Yeah, the resolution I thought was going to be bigger, but it was more peaceful, and I like it, but I expect a little bit more.
Here's one thing I do agree with Leo when okay, the fourth time watching it, I can definitely see what Leo's saying. Like it could have ended better, but I like the ending. I'll just say that. The one thing I really did think that they did well is going back to what Leo was saying is it's the slow build up. Like before they show you the aliens, they just give you glimpses of it during the television broadcast.
Even in the scene where she shows up to the lecture, I mean, she walks past a bunch of people amassing behind what you could make out is probably a TV set. And you're like, what's going on over there? But she's just so calmly walking through the scene. And then she walks into her classroom. And then the phones start going off. And then one of the students says, turn on the TV, please. And it's so slow to show you what it is that's happening in the background in this story. And so that's kind of how the whole movie is. It's like they're not quick to show you what's happening. They want you to slowly build up to that.
And they did a really good job of, because when Amy Adams first walks into her class, and it's going to that scene where Leo was talking about, where all these students are gathered up on this giant screen watching the news, and she's just not, she's not even looking at the TV. She just walks right past. She kind of looks depressed, and I kind of am like impressed with the way the filmmaker was able to kind of trick me, because
you tricked me for sure.
You definitely think, well, it makes sense.
The daughter died.
The daughter just died.
However long ago.
Clearly sad.
She's still sad in the morning. Yeah.
But yeah, clearly not the case.
Blue balls. That's what it feels like, man. It really does. Now, you know what? I'm gonna give it a B plus, because I feel like my expectations were. I approached it kind of thinking it's going to be like an Independence Day movie or something, or Aliens with like this big battle. But now as I think about it, it's because of that flip of the perspective of the movie, I think it's a B plus.
When I first saw this movie, I got out of the theater and I gave it an A plus. It was spectacular. It was the best movie of the year, and still arguably one of the best movies of the year. But after the fourth time seeing it, I still enjoy the fuck out of it. It's still one of my top 10 movies in the last decade. It's just, I'm a sucker for aliens and sci-fi. That's just my weakness. I eat it all up. I can't wait for Prometheus. Or Alien Covenant.
Alien Covenant.
I'm gonna give this an A minus. A minus.
I agree with that. It's right in there. It's not quite. I don't think it's an A. I don't even think it's gonna get the Best Picture award.
I hope it does, but you know what? There's so many good competitors. La La Land's probably gonna fucking get it, even though I think that's if you think La La Land should get Best Picture, you're drinking the fucking Kool-Aid. That shit is not Best Picture worthy. I would say it's just not. I have Hacksaw Ridge. I have a couple. Clearly, as you can tell. That's not. I've seen plenty of movies, and that is not. It's a good movie. It's an A minus B plus movie, but it's not. I enjoy Fences more than I did La La Land. As far as like, oh, you know what, Hacksaw Ridge, you got to see it. You'll see it over the weekend.
I haven't seen all the nominees.
Hacksaw Ridge is really good as well. So yeah, I'm gonna just give that an A minus. And honestly, look out for this damn director, because I think he's doing Blade Runner.
Yeah, he is.
I think he's doing
Blade Runner. That's what he's doing next. So it's done.
With Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this guy is going to...
La La Land meets Arrival.
I feel like this guy is going to be the definite, like, if he keeps going on this track of, like, Sicario, Arrival, if Blade Runner kicks ass...
See, and now when I think about it, Sicario scenes had that similar pacing where it was, like,
very slow
into the reveal of whatever it is, the conflict in that scene.
But you know what? When it comes to the Sicario movie, I think the end result was more more satisfying.
I like Sicario a little bit better than this one. A lot better.
I mean, the dinner scene alone at the end was like, grog.
Yeah.
By the way, I was going to ask you, if B plus rating is a really good rating, but let's say, hypothetically speaking, this movie was like 30 minutes shorter.
I don't think that I need less time. I like the running time. It's just...
Okay.
The pacing. It was the pacing. And although I don't have a problem with it, it was a little slow.
By the way, guys, if you like this content, please like, share, and subscribe. And check out all of our X-Men movie reviews that will be linked in the description down below. We are going to do the Logan movie coming out next Friday, or next Thursday. Ghost in the Shell, the original RoboCop, all the Marvel movies. I mean, if you're a fan of like action movies, superhero movies, just Oscar-worthy movies,
We're gonna have a lot of good reviews, guys.
this is the channel for you. Is that enough of a sell?
I'll buy that for $1.
All right, guys. Till next time. See ya. Hey guys, this is Marcus from. Hey guys, this is Marcus from Leo. I was gonna say that.